where the truth gets clear. Every voice matters, every story's heard here. From home to the headline, she's breaking it down. Clarity and courage, that's how justice sounds. Order in her court, no matter the scene. From love and the law to what's on your screen. Family, fun, and the world we chase. A breezy up bullet, justice in its place. Where we are, every word, every view. Justice isn't just served, it's tailored for you.
Welcome to Order in Her Court. I'm your host, Obreezia Bullard, where we break down family law into compassion, clarity, and straight talk. You may have caught the episode where we are diving into entrepreneurship, and we wanted to dive a little bit deeper because it's something we need. I wish before I opened my own firm 12 years ago, someone would have sat down with me and said, hey, as an entrepreneur, these are the things that you need to do, that you don't need to do, you need to stay away from. But I did not have that. So I want to give it to you. Let's talk about being an entrepreneur and opening a business versus having a hobby, because those are two different things. They have one thing in common. Usually you have a love for something and you take that love and you create a hobby with it, or you open a business with it. Well, the time that you choose to open a business is the time that you got to realize I have to set aside the hobby mentality. And I have some pointers for you as to how to do that and why you should do it. Okay. So the first point I want you to realize is having a hobby means you do it on your free time. It's something you do when you have nothing else to do and you just want to dive into something you love, whether that is knitting, that may be content creating, my husband has an obsession with cologne. So for him, it's smelling cologne. That may be your hobby, but your business is your priority. That's when you do things as a priority because it becomes your livelihood. And when you change your mindset from making something a hobby to making it a priority and now generating revenue from it, because that's a part of entrepreneurship. You don't do it for fun when you become an entrepreneur. You're doing it because you need something from it. And usually that's money. We all need some type of revenue from our business. So first thing is first, have your mindset of which way you are going. And it's okay if you feel as though the entrepreneurial route is not necessarily the route you want to go to at that point. Keep it as a hobby. But when you're ready to turn that switch, let's turn it and think about priority. And everything that you do with the thing that you love, your passion, is going to become a priority. Now, that's going to require discipline, because when you have a hobby, you're doing it on your free time. But now when you're turning into an entrepreneur, you have to be disciplined enough to set a schedule where you're focused directly on that thing. It could be, I love to knit as a hobby, but now I want to sell it. Now I want to go to a festival, or I want to open a shop on Etsy. Create your plan of what that looks like. What days and times am I going to devote to not just making the materials that you're going to sell, but also marketing the materials? What is my goal? What is my bottom line? How many customers am I trying to get? Carve out time where you can work, and you will hear me say this over and over again, own the business now, because you are transitioning from the hobby mindset to the entrepreneurial mindset. So let's think about our discipline. Let's think about our plan. Priority, discipline, plan. Now that we have a plan, let's talk about execution. What does that look like? So your first point into becoming an entrepreneur is setting it as a priority. Now becoming disciplined, creating yourself a plan, and executing. Your behavior must match your ambition. If you want business level results, stop operating in hobby level discipline. You're not going to get the same. You need to focus on contracts, not conversations. This is a business now. You can't just make handshaking deals like they used to do back in the day. You need to have a contract that outlines what you expect from your future client or your future customer and what they're going to get from you. Because if anything goes south, you have to have something that you can enforce. You need pricing, not just pay whatever. And you need pricing based on market research. So don't just set a price because it feels good. You can go to Walmart and say, oh, well, I think I'm going to get this shirt, or set my price for $5.99 because when I go in Walmart, I see shirts for $5.99. Well, Walmart has figured out their cost to create that shirt. You have to do the same because their cost, their mass production is not going to be your cost. So you have to set your pricing based on a strategy that works for you. You can't undervalue the service that you are now providing to others. And you can't really compare it to others. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But you really can't compare it to others either. You need structure. When you wake up in the morning as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of free time. You have flexibility. You're able to do whatever, whenever, however. But before you know it, you will spend 6 hours just maybe piddle-paddling around the house. Wake up with a plan. Give yourself structure for the day. Give yourself a timeline. When I wake up at 6 o'clock, I'm going to set my agenda for the rest of the day. Beginning at 8 o'clock, I'm now going to do some market research. What is my competitor doing? At 11 o'clock, I'm now going to think about how am I going to reach my target market? Give yourself an outline to build that structure, because people will take you as serious as you take you. If you don't treat your business like a business where the average person is going to clock in at 9 o'clock, they're clocking out at 5 o'clock. If you don't have that same mindset of, I have to clock in for myself, for my business, I have to set my structure where I'm using those same work hours, and it may not be a 9 to 5, but whatever time set to work on my business, then people are not going to take you serious because you're not taking yourself seriously. Now, I mentioned value earlier. Let's get into value. This is where I personally struggled the most in my business. I remember when I started as a new law firm owner, I really wanted to help everybody. To be honest, looking back, I had more of a pro bono shop than I did a firm, because everybody that came through the door had a story. And their story tugged at my heartstrings in one way or another, because we all want to help people. And when you have a passion and you're working in that passion, you just want to give it away. Let's be honest. You just want to give it to people because you want to help people. You want to get them to the next level. But I shortly realized that helping people did not pay the bills. I can't help people and put food on my children's table or help supply the needs that they had. So I began to undervalue my services. And undervaluing your services is the quickest way to a burnout. You begin to give people things and you're not able to feed back into the business that you're working hard on. Remember, we talked about structure. We talked about plan. We talked about execution. You're doing everything right, but then you're burning out on what you love to do, and you're not understanding why. It's because you're just treating it almost like you're a machine at that point. You're not getting the value of the things that you did. I'm going to tell you why. I figured this out maybe, God, I hate to say it and probably admit it, maybe 3 to 5 years after I opened my own firm, which is probably too long. But I really figured out that people have to pay for my time. They have to pay for my experience, for my perspective. God knows, for my student loans, because I've spent the time learning a craft, and I spent the investment. I invested in my knowledge. So a lot of times as you're opening a business, things come very easy to you because you're walking in your gift, and your gift makes room for you. I almost said take me through there, but your gift makes room for you, and you get a return on your gift. That return is monetary, but sometimes everything feels so easy to us that we feel like people shouldn't have to pay us for what comes easy to us. Well, that's the thing. It comes easy to us because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So as you're opening your business and you're thinking about your value, think about the time it took you to master that craft. The days that you spent, the hours that you spent. People pay so they don't have to do it. They don't want to do it. And then the second struggle I had personally when I opened my firm was comparing myself. Comparing myself to other people, other attorneys. I realized that people would go to these firms that had big names and big reputations and pay these big retainers. And it was just little old me that just had been practicing a little amount of time. And I was not worth that billable hour that they were charging, but I really was. I was working harder. I was grinding longer, and I was getting better results. But I was not charging the value that I had. So I was burning myself out because I was working harder. I was burning myself out because I was grinding harder, and it was paying off. I'm going against bigger firms, getting better results, but I wasn't charging the same. So just to maintain my bottom line, I had to get more clients. So it became a rat race of getting clients, only to be able to sustain the business. Because remember, we're not a hobby. We got a business. That means we have overhead, we have bills, we have staff. So you're burning the midnight oil in order to sustain this bottom line figure. When if I would have just charged a value that I knew that I had, but I was scared to charge, I could have done a lot better. A lot better. So know that your value means a lot. You also don't want to undercharge, because when you undercharge, people start to wonder, are you as good as you really say you are? Cheap is not good. That is the common just consensus across the board. So know your value, charge your value, and actually research your value. Now, you can't go charge, to Timbuktu, the highest thing you can think of, because you got to be reasonable. That's where your market research comes in, to make sure that you're competitive, that you're in line with the value that you see yourself compared to, not the value that people say they are. And then you charge accordingly. Once you do that, then you're on your way to not having the burnout. Value is measured by impact, not insecurity. People pay based on the confidence that you provide them. Your problem is not people won't pay. That's really not the problem. It's that you haven't shown them the value of what you can provide, how you can help relieve a pain point that they may have, how you can ease the sleep that they're losing at night. What problem can you solve for them? Now, they may not understand that, and it's not their job for you not to tell them how you can help them. Your job is to educate them. You have to show them how your business has value for them. Not only do you have to educate them, you have to communicate, and you have to demonstrate the results that your service can provide for them. Give them examples, right? So if I have a client that comes to me and say, Attorney Bullard, I am extremely frustrated. Every time the mother of my child and I have a disagreement, she won't let me see my child. And I don't know what to do. Well, they have communicated to me their problem. Now, my job is to educate them on how I can help solve the problem. That's where they're seeing the value. So I don't say, well, there's this thing that's called legitimation, and do you have rights? I may throw it in there because that's the legal term, but I'm not going to get in the weeds. I'm going to say, you know what? I understand. And there's a solution to your problem. What you need is a paper signed by a judge that says you have visitation every first, third, fifth weekend. You can get every other week. That's your solution. And then they want to know more at that point. How do I get that solution? So I don't have to worry that the next time we have an argument over something that's trivial, I won't be able to see my daughter for another 2 months. And then we can talk about that. This is what my business can provide to you. This is how we can help you sleep at night, because we can get a court order that says that you have these rights. And by having these rights, guess what? Nobody can take them away from you. So when you have that little argument, there's no longer you won't be able to see your child. What you're doing is you're guiding them. You're leading them into the solution and showing your value of how you can help them get there. Show them the impact that your business can have in their life, the positive impact that's going to make them want to do business with you. And remember, you're walking in your gift. So for you, this is exciting to be able to provide somebody with the thing that they're looking for. And it's going to come really easy for you, but you just lifted a burden off for someone else. So as we wrap up this episode, I want you all to remember, if you want to be treated like a business, operate like a business. Stop treating it like a hobby. We have now progressed from doing this on your free time to making it a priority. And remember, undercharging does not attract better clients. It attracts boundary breakers. And be careful, because those boundary breakers could be close friends and family. And lastly, value is not something that you wait for someone to give you. It's something you have earned. You've earned it through your education. You've earned it through sacrificing your time, and you've earned it through your experience. Don't take that lightly. You've put in the work. Get the value that you deserve. This has been another episode of Order in Her Court. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the content if you find it valuable, and follow us. We look forward to our next one.